Hello, teachers, and welcome to our Explore the Bible study time. We are today on Joshua chapter 14. This is session 6 in our Joshua, Judges, and Ruth series. And we are today going to be looking at the life of one particular Jewish man in particular, Caleb. And we remember Caleb from the story with Joshua and Caleb, the two faithful, trusting spies. Moses sends them into the promised land to spy out the land. And 10 spies were bad, but 2 were good. Caleb was one of the good spies who believed that because of God's promises, the children of Israel could take the land. We know the story. The 10 bad spies convinced the nation to not obey God, to live in fear and not go in. And so that's why they had to spend the next 40 years wandering in the wilderness. But eventually, God gives them the victory. They cross the Jordan. They defeat Jericho. They win all these battles against all these kings. And they enter into the land. And who is still around? Joshua and Caleb. And so today, as we're looking at the life of Caleb in Joshua chapter 14, and really the subject of this chapter is steadfastness. Steadfastness. You could think of resolve or fortitude or commitment, an unwavering commitment. And that's really how you describe the man Caleb. And from him, we learn how to develop a life of unwavering commitment. That's the theme of this lesson, developing a life of unwavering commitment. Every believer can have an unwavering commitment to the Lord by developing that commitment in these 3 ways. So 3 ways we can develop an unwavering commitment to the Lord in our lives. Commitment number one is an obedience to the right commands, being committed to obeying the right commands. We start off the chapter, Joshua 14, 1 through 5, and really it's just the rehearsal of God's command to go in and claim the land. Go in, defeat these pagan kingdoms, and claim this land that I've given to you. And verses 1 through 5 just basically describe what they have done. Eleazar the priest, and Joshua the son of Nun, the heads of the fathers of all the different tribes, they are dividing up the land just as God had commanded them. You even have the 2 tribes and the half tribe that wanted land on the other side of the Jordan, and part of the command was, no, you have to stay with the nation, help us get into the promised land, defeat these kingdoms, and then you can go back to claim your land on the other side of the Jordan. And basically, the children of Israel have obeyed this command. They have had an unwavering commitment to do what God had told them to do in claiming the land. Again, 40 years before that, they were unfaithful. They did not have an unwavering commitment. They allowed the fear of their circumstances, the fear of those battles before them to cause them to give up. And they gave in to sin. One pastor had a quote, and he said, the test of a man's true character is, what does it take for him to quit? And what does it take for us to give up on doing right? And that's obviously a great point of application and a question. What in life, what does it take for us to give up on God's commands? How easy is it for us to quit doing right and to do wrong, to give in to temptation? Do we have steadfastness, fortitude? Can we endure? Can we bear up under the weight of life and not throw in the towel and go back to living the way we did before we were in Christ and following just our flesh and the world and the devil? And so commitment number 1 is an obedience to the right commands. If you want to have an unwavering commitment, be a person of steadfastness, you have to say, you know what, I'm going to obey at all cost. Obedience is important. The second commitment we see in this chapter, it's beginning to get into the life of Caleb, is has a devotion to the right cause. A devotion to the right cause. And if you pick up in verse 6, this is where Caleb is like, he's ready to claim his mountain, basically, claim his land. He has been waiting for 45 years. Actually, you look at verse 7. He says, 40 years old was I when Moses, the servant of the Lord, sent me from Kadesh Barnea to spy out the land, and I brought him word again as it was in my heart. Nevertheless, my brethren that went up with me made the heart of the people melt, but I wholly followed the Lord my God. And Moses sware on that day, saying, surely the land whereon thy feet have trodden shall be thine inheritance, and thy children's forever, because thou hast wholly followed the Lord my God. And now, behold, the Lord hath kept me alive, as he said, these 45 years. And so here's Caleb. He trusted God. He believed God could give them the victory. He believed in this cause of following the Lord, claiming the land, even beyond that, being God's people, an obedient people set aside for God's work. And he's devoted to it. He's been devoted to it his whole life. He was willing to wait 45 years to claim this land. I mean, there's no better example of steadfastness, of unwavering commitment. Can you imagine waiting 45 years to claim what has been promised to you by God? What a testimony of devotion. But he believed in the cause. He believed in his God. He believed in what God was doing in the nation of Israel to set apart this nation to be a holy nation. And he stayed devoted to it. He did not quit. Again, this is something if we're going to have steadfastness, fortitude in our life, we have to be devoted to the cause, and never lose sight of what God has called us to do. Obviously, as Christians, we are trying to build God's kingdom. We have the cause of taking the gospel to the lost. We have the cause of being like Christ, so that our lives match the words of our mouths when we testify that we follow Jesus. So we have to remain devoted to the right cause if we're going to have an unwavering commitment. Then the last commitment we find in this chapter is it's a trust in the right person. So again, 3 types of commitment: a commitment to obedience, a commitment to devotion, and finally a commitment to trust in the right person. And in the last 3 verses of this chapter, we see Caleb trusting in God. He says, now therefore, I love this phrase in the beginning of verse 12, give me this mountain whereof the Lord spake in that day. Caleb is ready to claim what is rightfully his based on the promise of God. But if you continue to read verse 12, it says, for thou heardest in that day how the Anakims were there, and that the cities were great and fenced. The Anakims, that is the giants. If you remember when Caleb and Joshua went into the promised land before with the other 10 bad spies, they saw giants, very great, massive men, massive armies, and they were afraid. Well, guess what? Those giants are still in this land that God is going to give to Caleb, and Caleb has a responsibility now, just like the command and just like the cause that he is devoted to, is to kick out those pagan nations, even to defeat these giants. But what's so amazing is this committed, unwavering man, Caleb, he trusts in the right person. He trusts God. And if you look at the end of verse 12, he says, if so be, the Lord will be with me, then I shall be able to drive them out as the Lord said. An 85-year-old man is confident in the promises of God to give him the power to go and kick out the giants. These great men that before had caused such great fear in the nation of Israel. He's trusting in the right person. Verse 13, Joshua blesses him and gives Caleb this inheritance. and the Lord was with him. The Lord kicked out the giants, the great, verse 15, the great man among them, the Anakims. And then it says there in the end of verse 15, after this, the land had rest. God was faithful to his promise to Caleb, to the nation of Israel. God expelled these pagan nations, gave them victory, and through trusting in the right person, trusting in God, Caleb was able to claim the victory, and finally, after 45 years, claim his mountain. What a challenge, a life of unwavering commitment. And we need to ask ourselves, do we have it? We live in such a comfortable, cushy life in a culture today, and we are tempted to give in far too easily, to quit, to throw in the towel. When it comes to careers, I read an article one time that says that the average worker will work at 8 different jobs in their lifetime, only around 3 to 4 years. Even when it comes to pastoring, the average pastor only stays at a post around 5 years, and just there's not a real strong sense of commitment in our culture. We're so focused on personal comfort that it's easy for us to give in when it gets difficult. But men and women of God, we have an unwavering commitment, and you and I can have that. We can have a backbone. We can have fortitude, steadfastness. We have to be obedient to the right cause. We have to be obedient to the right commands, devoted to God's cause, and trust in Him, trust in the right person. And you and I too can have an unwavering commitment to the Lord and be men and women like Caleb. He's a hero of the faith, and we should have that desire to follow after him. So it's a great lesson. A lot of things you can apply, very practical, and let's have an unwavering commitment to being Sunday school teachers, and press on, claim that mountain, do a good job for the Lord, and trust He will bless. All right, thank you so much.